Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving right into something that literally every single one of us deals with. It doesn't matter if you're a designer, a writer, an entrepreneur, or honestly, just someone trying to inject a little more creativity into your daily routine. We're going to dig deep into what I like to call the breathing mechanism of creativity. Think of it kind of like this: inhaling ideas from the world around you, and then exhaling your own unique work right back into it. The author Austin Kleon maps this out beautifully with his concepts of steal like an artist versus show your work. And we're going to break it all down for you right now. Right off the bat, let's just address the elephant in the room. As the novelist Honoré de Balzac famously said, for artists, the great problem to solve is how to get oneself noticed. Look, if you've ever felt that awful pit in your stomach about self-promotion, or if you've just been completely paralyzed by the pressure to be 100% original, you are definitely not alone. That anxiety is so universal. It's the ultimate modern creator's dilemma, right? How do you gather amazing ideas? And then how do you actually get anyone to pay attention to what you make? To solve that, we have to look at the complete creative life cycle, which is built right on top of Kleon's two core philosophies. On one side, we've got steal like an artist. This is your input. It's the art of taking influence, studying the world, and gathering raw material. On the flip side, we have show your work, which is your output. That's how you give influence back, share your process, and actually get discovered. Acquiring ideas and getting discovered aren't two separate, totally unrelated chores. They're literally two sides of the exact same coin. You simply can't exhale if you don't inhale. So let's start with the inhale. Section 1, the myth of originality. Here is the ultimate, incredibly freeing truth. Absolutely nothing is original. The writer Jonathan Lethem made a brilliant point about this. He said that when people call something original, 9 times out of 10, they just don't know the references or the original sources involved. I mean, as Kleon points out, even the Bible says there's nothing new under the sun. All creative work builds on what came before it. Once you truly accept this, the pressure is completely off. You do not have to conjure brilliant ideas out of thin air. To really lock in this mindset shift, look at the late, great David Bowie. He famously said, "The only art I'll ever study is stuff that I can steal from." And to be clear, Bowie wasn't talking about plagiarism here. He was talking about conscious, active inspiration. He understood that nobody creates from a totally blank slate. You relieve yourself of the burden of the blank page by actively looking for the building blocks that have already been laid down by others. Which brings us right to section 2, how to steal like artists. Okay, so if we agree that we need to gather all these inputs, the next practical question is, how do working artists actually look at the world? Well, when an artist looks at the world, they stop judging things as universally good or universally bad. That is a trap. Instead, they run everything through this incredibly simple mental flowchart, asking just one question: is it worth stealing? If yes, you take it. If no, you immediately move on to the next thing. It's a ruthless, highly efficient filter for your attention. So the whole process just boils down to 3 relentless steps. Step 1, figure out what's worth stealing for your current project. Step 2, move on to the next thing. Seriously, don't get bogged down critiquing what you don't like. And step 3, just keep looking, because everything is up for grabs. And if you don't find something worth stealing today, you might find it totally worth stealing tomorrow, or maybe a year from now. Today's trash really might be tomorrow's treasure. You're building a lifelong library of inputs. Moving on to section 3. The lone genius is dead. To really grasp this, we've got to look at a concept from the musician Brian Eno called scenius. Scenius is just a much healthier model of creativity. It's the idea that great ideas aren't born in a vacuum. They're birthed by a group of creative individuals, artists, curators, thinkers, all collaborating, sharing, and paying close attention to each other. Finding an audience isn't about standing on a mountaintop shouting at people to look at you. It's about plugging yourself into a supportive, shared community. It's literally an ecology of talent. The absolute crucial point to remember here is this: you don't find an audience, they find you. Now, the comedian Steve Martin famously said, "Be so good they can't ignore you." And while that's totally true, it's missing one vital ingredient. In order to be found, you actually have to be findable. You can't just be brilliant in absolute secrecy. The people you look up to, the ones who seem to be effortlessly discovered, have simply built sharing into their daily routine. They're making themselves findable every single day. This leads us into section 4. Think process, not product. Now, I know exactly what you're probably thinking right now, but I don't have a finished, perfect masterpiece to share yet. Austin Kleon gives us some incredibly actionable advice here to get over that hurdle. First, scoop up the scraps of your process. Second, shape that residue into shareable media. Third, turn all that invisible effort into something other people can actually see. And fourth, share your curiosities and your influences. Think about it, a quick sketch, a rejected idea, a book you're reading for research. These are the messy, daily grinds of your work. By sharing the journey itself, you're generating content without having to wait months for a polished, finished product. The journey is inherently fascinating to other people. This whole concept is anchored by a brilliant observation from the late journalist David Carr. He used to tell his students, "No one is going to give a damn about your resume. They want to see what you have made with your own little fingers." It's pretty blunt, but it is so true. People connect with tangible, ongoing effort. They really don't care about a sterile list of corporate credentials or a perfectly polished portfolio. They want to see the dirt under your fingernails. They want to see the actual process of you making something. And that brings us to our final phase, Section 5, begin again as an amateur. To really master this entire cycle of inhaling and exhaling, you've got to drop the ego. You have to stop trying to posture as the ultimate expert in the room. Sometimes when we start a new project or pivot our focus, it feels like we're losing all the ground we've gained. But there is a massive distinction to make here. Don't think of it as starting over, think of it as beginning again. You never actually lose the work that came before. The lessons you learned from your previous projects, they will always seep into what you do next. So when you share a new, imperfect, clumsy journey, you aren't sliding backward. You're just beginning a new cycle, but armed with a wealth of hidden experience. So how do we actually do this in the real world? By methodically embracing the benefits of being an amateur. Wear your amateurism right on your sleeve. Be enthusiastic and completely open about what you don't know yet. Commit to learning in front of others. Let them literally watch you figure it out. Pay really close attention to who shows up when you share, because guess what? That is your scenius forming right there. And finally, share what you love, because that is the exact magnet that will attract the people who love those exact same things. This kind of raw vulnerability, it is the ultimate, authentic alternative to sleazy self-promotion. As we wrap up this explainer today, I want to leave you with a provocative question to really chew on. Are you ready to become an amateur again? Are you ready to drop the whole facade of perfection, start relentlessly stealing the good ideas all around you, and courageously share the messy scraps of their process? The creative life cycle is waiting for you. Go find something worth stealing and show us your work today.